what's on your mind. We don't really care. It's our opinions, all you gotta hear. We sensible sometimes, without no doubt. But try this in with a conch shell in your mouth.
Fuck these people talking about.
Post practice,
Talking about.
post practice,
Couple shut your mouth.
post practice. It's really post post. It's really post post. It's really post post.
About.
Post practice,
What they talking about?
post practice,
Couple shut your mouth.
post practice. It's really post post. It's really post post. It's really post practice.
And welcome to the fourth installment of Post Practice. We are a panel of spotters who are going to discuss current social issues in the Bahamas. Here today we have Jay, Anari, Val, Sakani, Aaron, and hosting is myself, Giano. Hey. So we'll jump right into it. Anybody wants to start first? Sakani's
first.
topic.
Today is the first day of 12% VAT.
Hey.
WAT. Justice
12%
Gardens, WAT
day.
going to 12%. But it's going to be rough on lower income people, and I feel that the government should look at more progressive ways of taxing the economy, or taxing people in this economy. But I want Baymans to understand, VAT still got 3 more percentage points to go. VAT was supposed to be 15%.
As
I don't-
advised.
Right. I don't want y'all to think that this could stop here. Whether it's the FNM or the next government is the PLP, I guarantee you in another 3 to 5 years, VAT going up another 3 points.
So let me ask you a question. If they initially set VAT at 15%, do you think the past 5 years would have helped the Bahamas, or would we still be wondering where the VAT money is?
We still could be wondering where the VAT money is. I still think so.
Where the bad money is about systems, right? Systems of accountability. And I don't know if the act of implementing a taxation system alone is enough to inculcate a culture of accountability, right? In a government that seems to be so dysfunctional. I mean, that's a little heavy, right?
But I agree, and that's my issue. Because VAT can go up again, and this is what I want Bahamians to realize. VAT's going to go up again, and unless we force the people in power to put the accountability in, they'll be making $3 billion from VAT, and we can't necessarily say where the VAT money is going.
Can't necessarily.
You know what I mean? And they can tell us the same thing. It's gone into the consolidated fund to pay the debt. That ain't what I think, as a public, want. If you could tax me, give me a system, please, that number one, I could see the taxes that I spend in. I could see that directly affecting my life. So I want holy roads. I don't want to have to wait hours to get stuff done in a government
Precisely.
office. You know what I mean? I want the system work for me. You know what I mean? And so if you could tax me $3 billion, you could tax us $3 billion, or whatever it could be, please put the systems in place. But see, they ain't gonna do it unless we as the public force them.
And here's a word about the public. What concerns me is we implemented it 7.5. There was a lot of uproar, but we didn't necessarily see citizens and ordinary people like creating mechanisms to deal with it economically, right? Like, I don't know if there's necessarily been a significant rise in membership in credit unions and use of alternate banking systems, right? Although we did see the loom, like many people invested in the loom,
That's
right?
alternate banking in a different way though.
So my concern is like how are we going to take the 12%, the extra, the 4.5% increase? We haven't necessarily, like, nobody, I don't see anybody bartering on a large scale, although farmers markets are growing.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we can't deal effectively as citizens with the increase in VAT, I don't know if we have the capacity or the wherewithal to force or compel a government to put those mechanisms in place, right? To force accountability and transparency.
So you're saying that we have not done with our best efforts with the increase of 7.5.
No, I'm saying that that although Bahamians have protested,
All we can do is complain, is what she's saying.
Okay.
that I don't think that's been. I haven't seen a significant shift in behavior, right, from people who spend money.
Okay.
And I say that specifically because I don't spend money. Like I'm from Auckland, and as a family tradition, I tend not to spend money.
Oh,
Right?
you mean those people who still going on brunches and
Or well, people who are using their resources for disposable experiences,
okay.
right? Like some people are poor and they're doing things to survive emotionally and psychologically, right? People want things, people want experiences, and poor people shouldn't deny themselves of that,
Yeah.
right? But I don't necessarily see people saving in a way that suggests that they understand the real economic impact of these decisions, right? And these implementations.
Yeah. Okay. With that said, we'll move on to the next topic, which is gonna come from Jay.
Okay, so a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks, last week, I actually met somebody who's here in the Bahamas looking at oil rigs in the Bahamas. And they say we're not digging for oil. But anyway, let's get past that. The rigs are here. This guy is telling me that after the oil, in about 40 years or so, the world is going to make a shift from oil because it actually is going to run out in about 200 years. And this is fact that they're going with, right? And so they have to turn to something. And what they're going to do is take those same oil rigs and now use them for water. Because water is going to be the next thing in about 40 years. So I feel what the Bahamas should actually do is, instead of always being behind the world, is get ahead of the world. I mean, we have plenty water here. And this guy made an illustration. Dubai. Everybody know about Dubai. Where some of the richest people live and blah, blah, blah. Imports about $11 billion worth of water a year.
So the rigs, how they plan to use the rigs for water?
What I assume is this, they're going to suck the water up and then basically desalinate the water.
Desalination plants. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, they would be ahead of the world.
That makes plenty sense.
They, us, the Bahamas, we got plenty water around here.
No, I just was meaning because the way the time set up, they couple hours ahead of us. So, so
No matter what they're
no matter what they ahead of us.
But that reminds me of when Sakani was in Small Axe last year, and the character that he was opposing was all for like selling off land and doing what I think it was a 100-year contract
Yeah.
or whatever. And like everybody was Sakani's character was saying how people would be against it because he's selling off things or whatever.
He's trying to take that.
But his character was basically saying like you have to think ahead of time. Like we might look at it now like we packaging up our water and selling it. If I was thinking run out of water, no time. Soon, I ain't sure what time it is.
No, but the thing with that is if we then take solar energy and use that now to produce to run the desalination plants.
That makes sense.
Free
Yeah,
energy,
free
or
energy.
free energy to make the
To
water,
make water.
and sell the water, make the money.
Of everything.
We'd be ahead of the world.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see what I'm saying? That's the way you do it. We could just get that little hookup with Dubai and get in the little water market. You know what
I
I'm
know
saying?
don't want
Get a
water
little
from
bit
the
of
Bahamas.
that- little bit of that.
Exactly.
Get a little bit of how much it was? $11 billion.
Billion.
Yeah, we need to
With a
jump
B.
on that because So I see what you're saying, but that was a good play actually. That was a really good play.
Sakani did a great job, BTW.
Yeah.
Small
Small acts. That was a really good
interesting.
play for real.
That character's view was you give up a little
To
to
get
gain a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's something to consider. You know what I mean? I don't think we should give up oil. I think the oil should stay right in the ground. And if we could pump it, let's wait till, way in the future, then possibly only certain people need oil and they absolutely need it. Then you may be able to get a good price for it. But let's jump on renewables now.
Yeah.
Let's get ahead.
Okay. I like that. So, but with that said, we can move on. I think Val has a topic.
Yeah, I do.
Way to go, Val.
But my topic kind of piggybacks off what was said. So, well, self-sustainability, if that makes sense. So when I went to, where was I? In Port St. Lucie, that's in Florida. Sound fancy, but for Florida. But when I went to Port St. Lucie, I stayed
expensive.
West Coast, right?
closer to Georgia. That's west.
That's not.
No.
North Coast.
But that's kind of
Yeah, but it's the east
north
or west.
and west, because Georgia.
Frequent traveler here.
You don't know, yeah. I don't
So yes, I stayed with a guy and his family's Trinidadian, and me and his mother was talking about like being vegetarian and what it means to be vegan and da da da, and we were talking about like the products, the substitute meat products that I had in the fridge, whatever. Anyway, so we ended off talking about like being able, like in the Bahamas, it being so expensive to buy certain things over there was like hella cheap. But then she talked about like, do we have farms and stuff like that? And I'm like, there are local farms, but we still, like most Bahamians, eat Chiquita bananas, stuff like that.
They don't grow nothing on Freedom Farm though.
But careers.
Thank you. But that made me like coming home and with all the VAT and everything, it made me think about like I can't be spending random money on tofu and a bunch of stuff, and I legit do live on a farm and I do not go outside and pick one corn and boil it and say that's lunch.
Y'all have peas?
I could check.
Wow.
I could
So
check.
you should eat like beans and
I'm a
stuff?
guilty person. So like for me personally, like I and with VAT going up to 1%, I still can shop at Solomon's. Not Solomon's. The business.
Don't call no
Crossway?
names. Don't call no names.
Sorry.
The other place.
I
It
should track
ain't
my
that
statement.
place again. The other place. But look here, that to me, that's so fascinating because the truth is, being vegan, right, or being vegetarian, being sustainable, these aren't like these aren't lifestyles. These are ways of being, right, and there are cultures about them, and so. Like when you say, look, I sort of understand, or I get that there's value in eating local, right? And I understand and I get that there's value in moderating meat intake and things like that. But I don't know if I can shift my culture, right? The way I live to necessarily bring those things into my life. Right? Because look here, you sitting in a room with a farmer and a boy who is make vegan meat substitutes. And you sitting in the room. You sitting in the room with a vendor who sells local products.
Sakani is the farmer. Sakani is the farmer.
And the
And
meat-
the boy.
And the other boy.
See, when you said and, I took it as a conjunction, meaning two separate. Continue, go on.
No man, it's the
Two
Bahamas. You could be
separate
two
ones.
separate people and the same person
At the same
at
time.
one
At
time.
the same time. That's the definition of a hustler. Sorry.
HUSTLER.
But like the food store culture, the grocery store culture is so strong that even though it just makes sense to eat local and it makes sense to sort of eat healthier, there are a lot of the culture is set up in a way that it's easier to go to the food store and buy the
And
groceries
go
in the
down,
food store.
And that reminds me too what you said, like when you see people who aren't really trying. Sorry, your foot. Okay. When you see people who like aren't changing like their
Lifestyle.
spending lifestyles or their savings. Like for me, I'm trying not to save now because I know it could take me a while. I don't have a bunch of money, but I like to spend. I like to spend what I have. So I'm trying not to save more money so that I could still like buy the things I like to buy. Because only certain chips is be in certain stores and I like certain chips. So, but yeah, all of that made me think about it. But it's making me think like myself, like one, eating healthier, and two is like I gotta make something happen, money wise, not like illegal money. Yeah, okay.
Because eating healthy is expensive.
It is.
Very expensive.
Well, not necessarily. You sitting in a room with a buddy who's a farmer and a producer of local vegan and vegetarian products, right? What it is that the shift requires some energy, right? But it's like it's a short burst of energy until you can move into a sustained push, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a jog. And so it's about the energy is spent in shifting that culture. Yeah, if you go into a food store and you're trying to buy organic vegetables and vegetables on the whole, you're going to spend a lot of money. But if you take some time, do some price comparisons, hit a couple of farms, talk to farmers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between growing your own couple of stock things in your yard, right? And buying from local farmers, and then getting some things that you can't get all the time from your food store, you could find a real reasonable economic practice, right? Because local produce lasts longer.
It's just, think about it like this. It's just like when you out of shape and exercising, the most difficult part is like the first 2 to 3 months, because you get your body used to a shift in culture. And it's the same thing with eating and changing. You have to, the hardest part is the beginning. You have to expend the energy when you don't want to. You have to keep at it. You have to like go visit the farms, go on Facebook and find the people here who growing stuff. Once you have access to the information, then you know where to show up, where to go to get what you need. But you gotta spend that time to shift your behavior. It's like any other behavioral thing. It takes 3 weeks to break a behavior, and to break a habit, and 3 weeks to form a new one. So it's at least a 6-week process.
Yeah, with that said, hit up your local farmers, Sagani Nash. Shameless plug. So, moving on, we'll go to Erin with our topic.
First of all, shameless plug for Seasonal Sunshine Bahamas. Indigenous specialty supply. We just catch chick johnnies. We don't sell them because that's against the law. So I had a lot of topics, right? A lot of things to think about. But the first one is, why is your light bill the same as your rent or your mortgage? Why?
I'll say one thing. I don't know how much people it will affect, but that new law for this budget, where people under $200, I think it is, get exempted, that's pretty good. I think that could help plenty of people. Now, for the average, I think, middle class home, I think they spend more than $200 a month, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you, again, if people were to change the way they deal with electricity and take a little bit of time to shift the culture that they live, if you don't leave your plug in, you know what I mean? Like, don't leave your phone charger plugs in the wall, and all this stuff was on all the time, but you ain't necessarily using it. Plug that stuff out. If you going out and ain't nobody could be in your bedroom, turn the whole bedroom breaker off and watch how much money you save.
See, but some people use listen, I'm just saying this because we need to know, right? Some people just leave the TV on and the radio on with security. Like, sometimes that's the best security system ever. Sure. Do not use this information for evil. Maybe use it for good.
I understand that, and I could understand why. But again, if you could leave the TV on, there are other things you could cut off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
Very
you know,
true.
it's, you know, that lady Debbie Deal, when she said that, like, if you got something plug in, the electricity just sitting there waiting to get used, but it doesn't come into your house, so you gotta pay for that. And that's just sitting there waiting for you to use it. So it's like somebody who running in place, waiting for you to open the gate, and they charging you for every step they take in place, and they just standing there running, charging you for running while they in place. And that's, so when you stop them from running, period, as in you don't let it come into your house, then you save a lot of money.
Okay.
And all of us could be doing that in the next 6 months. Watch. People could find, I tell you, all of us could find every way.
Turn
we
off
could
your
to save
water
money.
heaters, folks.
I showing you.
In other, like, I cannot believe we've allowed this to happen for so long news. Why are we paying for electricity and for the fuel required to make the electricity?
Let me even get into that.
We have to, because, I mean, have we just given up?
No, man, but that's the special interest thing. That only can be done through serious political will. Like, I think everybody in the Bahamas at this point know that's a special interest deal.
Like, look here, I am just so grateful that my mother allows me to live with her, right? Because I can't pay that bill. Like, it hurts my heart to pay that bill thinking, like, this is a setup and these things don't make any sense.
I still give, I give the government of this time credit for at least giving some people who probably, people who need it most, especially now they drop this VAT on them, giving them the relief, some sort of relief. That will help some people. But a lot of people just ain't got their lights on because they can't afford it, like
Yeah.
straight up. You know what I mean?
Right, so like,
If your bill is $600 in the res, and you ain't really pulling in too much, knocking down that $600 could take a long
Take a
time.
while.
You put
Very-
$50 on
very
that
much
every
so.
month.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
right, like, so when your light bill is the same as your mortgage or your rent, like, that's an energy crisis, right?
Yeah.
So what sort of stuns me is that we don't see more solar in the country. Like, not major solar projects, right? But like smaller solar toys and
houses,
tools and things coming through China and South America, right? Because we know the technology is out there, and we know that a lot of it can be brought in relatively inexpensively, right?
The issue there again is, one of it is cultural to me. I think it's a cultural thing. Our perception of certain things from certain places are better than other things from other places.
Mm-hmm.
That whole perception, that is a difficult thing to overcome.
Yeah.
That's reality. And then too, we know there's an issue with things coming in. People like to control stuff that comes into this country. And so if you ain't got the right channels, bring in a new something in, they will stifle you so that you don't, you don't draw in a new economic channel into the country.
Oh,
Because they want it always to funnel through them in some way or the other.
Yeah.
Totally. Val, you have a point?
Yeah, but quick point. I think, and again, yeah. Okay, so I think one of the biggest issues that we have is that, like, most Bahamians aren't long run thinkers. Because, like, even talking about solar power, like, a lot of Bahamians wouldn't want to invest in what it would take, and it isn't even like a grand process, but just buying the panels, getting your house like reconnected. I mean, not reconnected, but doing the process that it takes for your house to be powered by solar. Like, they just
taking
take
it off the grid. Pretty much taking it off the grid.
Yeah. So, like, people, Bahamians, like, I don't go through all of that. So it's like they rather continue to pay for electricity and whatever, as opposed to making like that transition. Like, even for me in my house, my little sister wanted to turn on the air conditioning because the fan broke in our room. And like for 1 week straight, she was blasting AC. And I was like, this ain't making no sense. And I just had to like go to the shop and I like bought 2 fans. Like, in the moment, I was like, I do not want to spend the money for these fans. But I'm like, at the end of the month, when I get that electricity bill, I can cry more than me spending $100-something for 2 nice fans. So it's like, we have to think like, give a good deep investment one time instead of just sitting and living it and complaining about it and
But
What
listen,
more we have to
yeah.
do?
isn't that probably difficult though for people who live in like hurricane zone? Like, you know, it's one thing to say Bahamians should think long term, they should invest long term, right, and sacrifice and do these things. When you live in a hurricane zone, you have to think long term, knowing that at any moment everything you've invested could get wiped away by one storm that somebody could sing a song about, right, in 7 months.
7 months.
7 months being hurricane
I
season now.
forget about that
no?
boy solo. That boys make songs in 60 seconds.
Man.
So, Anari,
Well.
your topic.
Well, customer service, right? Even though this is just, I was in a government agency last week to get.
Call names, boo.
Don't call names.
I
Don't
went
call names.
there to go get something that I need, that everybody needs when they're trying to get a job.
A police
And
record.
yes,
No. A police certificate. If you have a police record, that means you have committed a felony and you actually have a record. You are not going there for a police record. You are going there for a police certificate. Okay.
And while I was in there was this line from starting at the door. So when you walk in the door, you're automatically on the line. So I saw this young lady in the front of me and I was just saying, why are we still going through this process when they are just simply taking the information from the computer and printing it? Why do we have to join lines? Anyway, it's the Bahamas and that's what we do. In the line, the lady came out and she's like, okay, all those who's coming to pick up your police certificate, don't come out the line though. Don't make a second line. But come up when I call your name. And I'm like, really, Mom? You think that's gonna work?
But not just that, you don't think I know why I'm here?
Right?
Like I walk
So
here
she's
for
like, don't make a second line. Just keep the one line. I said, okay, fine. I don't work here. You all do. Clearly, you understand where you're going with this. As the thought was in my head, some type of confusion would have happened. So this young lady walked in. She walked straight to the front, and there's someone like, Miss, what you coming for? She's like, I'm coming to pick up this. Like, no. There's a process to this. Right? So she's still standing up, and this lady must be a lawyer or something. She's like, so she in here? I say, everybody in here waiting to pick up a police. There's a process, miss. The young lady still stood up. She ended up getting served. So I was cracking up at this moment because it was just too hilarious. So the man on the next end was like, but we know, the woman said to come up when you call, you hear your name called. I said, but she didn't call any name though. But that's the process. I say, yes, she's following instructions, but nobody called her name. So this said young man, the lady over the counter saw him, was like, don't worry about him, miss. He could be all right. In the Bahamas, when they say, don't worry about him, miss, he could be all right.
Dog
Just
eat your
know.
Dog eat your lunch.
That's it for
You ain't getting served today.
Okay? So the lawyer lady went up to the front because she's like, I tired of this foolishness. She went up to the front and the young man was coming from over where he was. So the lady saw him. She's like, sir, you didn't hear it. So he bust out laughing and said, yes, sir. They're just following procedure like you said, right? So he had to go right back into the line where the lady's like, I said, and she then like this, like, you retarded. I said that I am only calling out your name out the line, so please go in the line where you fall, okay? And I'm like, this is just madness. When will we get over this foolishness? This woman could have avoided all of this. Just by saying, those of you who came to pick up your police record, come on this side. She explained to everybody, oh, I didn't want y'all come with the line to wait because I could still have to look for your stuff. Are they not still in a line? So what's the point? And on top of that, she get mad with the boy and gone in the back. So they had to wait extra minutes on top of what she was doing.
She went to go find out what his name was. So she
Man, listen. It was just too much. And I'm like, when will this process get any easier?
But it's not just even for them, because I went to customs. I was customs yesterday. So I gotta bring in my car without that 12%. Well, yeah, my car. So, but the same thing is like, there was no sensible order. Like, okay, there was a line. but what? Like, that's all they knew when they woke up this morning. They said, what we could do, we can make them stand in line. Like, that's all they came up with their plan. And
they didn't work out after they're in the line. What do we do next?
Exactly. And one of the cashiers, homegirl, just gone. So it's like, you have a line that literally is, the Maritime Center is a long building. And you have a line that extends from the entrance all the way to the far back of the center. Like, you have to have some type of system. And the people to the cashiers, they're like doing other business that they should have done as soon as they get the person thing and stamp, put away. So she like served about 18 people and then decided to do all them stamping. But now everybody like, am I next? And they're not like communicating. So like that
they do communicate.
Why you all
they act like you're retarded when they communicate.
Okay, hold on. Let's be careful with the word.
I mean,
with the word.
Slow.
Developmentally challenged.
Right? But this because of the stigma attached to the R word, right? Are we glad we have another? We don't just have to say the N word all the time. Anyway, you hating on civil servants and people who's working office. You can't appreciate what is a passive aggressive protest of their poor treatment, right, in their workplace. You have to suffer because they have to suffer. And we all gonna suffer because their bosses are horrible and they're not getting proper compensation and they're not getting paid on time and they work in horrible environments and they like, okay, Norway, let's go to Norway. You could get 4-day work week.
Mm-hmm.
You get fired, you would go back to school or vocational training. They can find you another job, right? They're taxing you 50%. They're about to tax us 50%. But here, you gotta hustle and grind and do whatever they say. And even if they don't have new receipts, you gotta figure out how to make receipts. And if the printer's down, you gotta figure out how to print without the printer, right?
Right, but they don't even know it.
That's terrible for 2018.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because I don't work in civil service. That could be online. Certain processes, things that I signed a line for, I legit could have gone on my phone, put in my credit card info, and
get it.
Because Anari's point initially was pretty much, why do we have to go through such a process when everything should be digitized
right now?
And they could just pull up your name and see you don't have a criminal record and print your record out, your certificate out. Sorry, but I do understand why they make you wait, because the sergeant of the station that you get your certificate from, they have to sign off on it. So I don't know why it is that there isn't someone always there who could sign
the person always. And first of all, if it's digital, we're living in a digital system, they should have a digital signature, because this is not the first time you've seen me come for this police certificate. This is not the second time, and I'm coming for the same one that says the same thing.
You too eager.
I understand, but they still doing a background check because it's the justice system we dealing with. So
national security is a priority, and every check they could put in place is a good check, right? And I agree with you. If you have records digitized, why not use those records? Let me show you why. The power don't stay on all the time. The mobile service providers can't keep networks up all the time, right? And we want people to live in a digital world, like in the workplace, but their lives are broken, right? Like it's not digital, it's analog, right? Like the power company thinks that they could sell you packets of electricity, right? Like, look, I can sell you electricity from Wednesday 5 a.m. to like Saturday 9 a.m. and then nothing until Sunday, right? But then we back on again, and that's a new contract. Yeah, that's not how electricity works, right? And so
people do live like that, though. People do live like that, where you could actually just buy the amount of time you want.
Yeah, but that would be cool, right? If you could do that here, but you can't do that. You
gotta keep the power on. That's the whole point,
right? And so
that's just it.
People are like living fractured.
You buy your pocket, sorry, Aaron, but you buy your pocket,
just
and
don't take it from me.
All of a sudden they can't keep that on that time when you already purchased the pocket. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem.
This is what I'm saying. People can't function at their highest capacity in digital systems if they can't live digital lives, right? and people become frustrated, and they it's like a passive-aggressive resistance, man. Because all they could do is try and push that stress out one way or the other.
All right. Yeah. Well, any last words from anybody?
Well, all I know is I'm happy that my light bill is only be but $25 a month.
Yeah.
No VAT for you.
No VAT for me.
Oh, wow.
My water bill after 3 months was $12 and something cents.
You made it, y'all.
So, hey, listen.
I'd like to know how I could buy stocks and deodorant. Because the summer's going to be hot.
Wow.
I don't wear deodorant often. It's a blessing. Sorry, this the recording?
I hear you.
And BPL can't wait for the summer months. Oh yes, we have what do they call it?
It's called an antiperspirant. My body has to sweat.
Yeah.
So you telling me I can rub this on and I can look at my pores and say, not today. Like that's not healthy.
No, I would say I was trying to buy into antiperspirant. They say deodorant.
No, I was sorry. Stop one.
Because we need to deodorize some people around here.
That's true. But with that said, we will wrap up this installment of Post Practice. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
everybody.
On Instagram.
What's on your mind? We don't really care. It's our opinions, all you gotta hear. We sensible sometimes, without no doubt. But try this in with a conch shell in your mouth.
Fuck these people talking about.
Post practice,
Talking about.
post practice,
Couple shut your mouth.
post practice.